all likelihood, the Egyptian queen, Nitocris, does not exist, but is instead a queen of legends told through the works of Herodotus and even the renowned horror author H.P. Lovecraft. To understand the legends, we must go back to the 22nd century BC, to the old kingdom of Egypt during the Age of the Pyramids. Nitocris is born of the pharaoh Pepi II and his wife, Queen Ninth. This is a particularly daunting time in Egyptian history, plagued with chaos and filled with internal treachery. Territory is divided between small, warring kingdoms, and political disloyalty leads to many internal assassinations. Her brother, Menenra II, eventually takes over the role of pharaoh from their father, and she serves alongside him as both a sister and even his bride. Tragically, this is short-lived, as those among their subjects covet the pharaoh's land and power, traitorously and savagely murdering him to obtain it. To further their might, they aim to establish the pharaoh as nothing more than a puppet figure of authority. Nitocris, devastated by the loss of her brother, ascends as the 6th dynasty's final pharaoh, and throughout her 12-year rule, she plans how to take revenge upon the killers. Despite her vitriol, Nitocris is regarded as a wonderful ruler, uniting Egyptian territories and rebuilding fallen cities. She is seen as being braver than all the men of her time, and more beautiful than all the women with her fair skin and red cheeks. Unlike her peers, she is virtuous and intelligent. Rather than resorting to brute force or absolute military dominance, Nitocris is cunning, able to remain calm and plan the best outcome in times of crisis. Despite her role as a figurehead, she senses her divine pursuit as a pharaoh. As a daughter of the gods, she is gifted the vase scepter and the bronze mirror of darkness, Anpu Nepta Jaser, Nether Mirror Thesaurus. Beyond her personal feelings, she seeks vengeance for her brother to protect the important title of pharaoh as one who pursues godliness. For others to not worship her as such is unforgivable. Because she has a fierce, burning will within herself, she is short-tempered and sticks stubbornly to her goals. While in wait to claim her revenge, she orders the construction of a massive hall built underground. Once ready, she invites those she blames for her brother's death to a brilliant inaugural banquet. The subjects come in droves, naively feasting, unaware of Nitocris's plans. While gathered, she opens up a secret conduit within the hall, unleashing the waters of the Nile, which flood the building. In a matter of minutes, all of her brother's murderers drown, dying horrifically beneath the earth. Finally, after 12 years, Nitocris has exacted her revenge, but at what cost? The Egyptian people discover her actions and become infuriated. Viewing her as the traitor, she acknowledges her misdeed, but does not regret her actions. Thus, Nitocris cannot bear to face her subjects, and instead seals herself in her chambers after filling it with burning ashes. Without ventilation, the beautiful pharaoh suffocates to death in order to escape pursuit. Perhaps more tragically, however, she commits suicide without preparing herself for rebirth after death. These events are documented in the works of Herodotus's Histories, thought to be the world's first history book. More famously, H.P. Lovecraft depicts her within novels as a queen of the underworld, in control of undead beasts and monsters. These fictitious traits become attributed to her mirror, which conjures evil forces. It is even rumored that, instead of the Nile's water, the murderers were killed by Nitocris, unleashing evil spirits upon them. The myths and legends of Nitocris may very well outshine any factual truth, but are nonetheless recorded into the throne of heroes, allowing her to be summoned as a heroic spirit in pursuit of the Holy Grail. After all, the talented pharaoh has a desire for the chalice to ensure her murdered brother is able to reach eternal paradise in the Egyptian afterlife. Her chance occurs with the incoming incineration of humanity. A singularity is opened up in the land of Jerusalem, and due to convergence, a distorted version of Egypt accompanies it. She is summoned by the Singularity's Grail alongside the great pharaoh Ozymandias. Even though she herself has served as a pharaoh, she immediately defers to his title and charisma. Rejecting her status as a queen, to become his devoted retainer. They make their base at the legendary Shining Temple complex, Remisium Tentiris, Ozymandias' great palace. After much conflict, the singularity settles into three main forces. Ozymandias and Nitocris find themselves up against villages protected by generations of Hassani Saba, as well as the dominant holy city, a recreation of Camelot, led by a deviated Artoria Pendragon, the self-proclaimed Lion King. Upon first descending into the Singularity, Ozymandias seizes the Singularity's Holy Grail from Jerusalem's Crusaders prior to the construction of Camelot. Ozymandias knows the Grail's source, a distortion inserted by Solomon, containing the poison of a demon god pillar. Thus, he takes the role of a protector of the Grail, relying on Nitocris to populate their desert land with divine and undead beasts, sphinxes, and fire sprites. In battle, Nitocris attacks with two distinct weapons. First, her vase scepter serves as a symbol of royal authority, the very same scepter wielded by ancient Egyptian gods. This helps her command Egyptian magecraft to summon the likes of scarabs, mummies, and creatures resembling the smiter god Medjed. Atop this, she can unleash the Nether Mirror Thesaurus to draw out a repulsive army of darkness to overtake her enemies. While its terror is undeniable, it is difficult to say whether this dark abyss is a manifestation of the Egyptian netherworld or an inner reflection of Nitocris' mind and harnessed mana. Regardless, her power serves to quell entire armies of foes who cannot withstand the darkness's corruption. Despite this power, there are those who can take advantage of her. Nitocris, during an outing in the desert, is sedated and captured by a troop led by Hundred-Faced Hassan. They intend to bring Nitocris back to the mountains, but are routed by Chaldea's master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, Mashu Kyrielite, and Da Vinci. Chaldea's force scatters the assassins, successfully rescuing the beautiful pharaoh. However, when she awakens, Nitocris mistakes her saviors for captors, and battle ensues. Unwilling to accept their words, she forces them to challenge a mighty sphinx. Once they prevail, she deems them worthy to have an audience with Ozymandias and bring them to the Great Temple, unknowingly escorting the Sun King's enemies right to him. After all, he possesses the Grail, Chaldea's target in the Singularity. Regardless, after entertaining himself, Ozymandias explains that Chaldea has arrived too late, and their mission is now far more complex than simply retrieving the Grail. To resolve the distortion, they must also confront and defeat the Lion King. Of course, he has no interest in waging war with Camelot, instead resolving to preside over his Egyptian lands until the end. Regardless, he dismisses the Chaldea party, who continue to investigate the Singularity. Nitocris remains loyal to the Sun King, but occasionally aids the party on their journey, seeing them as less of a threat than Camelot's army of knights. Rather, she takes a liking to them, albeit reluctant to admit as much. When Ritsuka's party seeks out the Atlas Institute, buried among the Egyptian sands, and Sir Lancelot routs them on the way, Nitocris projects herself as a towering mirage to scare the knights away. While Lancelot sees through the ruse, the distraction is enough to facilitate Ritsuka's escape. By the end, Chaldea's party returns to the Great Temple, demanding Ozymandias' aid in assaulting the Holy City. He intended to guard the Grail within himself to prevent Artoria from realizing her ambition, the activation of the lance Rongo-Minyad, but it seems she can still activate it regardless. Nitocris insists her mirror can deflect the lance's light and protect Egypt, and thus tries to prevent the party from reaching her king, serving as a dangerous trial. She is repelled and allows them to have another audience with the king. Nitocris shuns her lack of strength, even though it's clear she pulled her punches. In audience with the king, Ritsuka asks for his aid and only succeeds upon defeating him while he's merged with the demon god pillar of the Grail. In an intense standoff, Ozymandias is defeated, even with Nitocris' help. Rather than join the front lines in a war against the Lion King, Ozymandias permits Ritsuka to utilize his army of sphinxes. With them, Chaldea's forces barely manage to infiltrate the Holy City, but are deterred by an impenetrable barrier surrounding the tower at the ends of the world. When all seems lost, Nitocris and Ozymandias open their temple's eye to activate the great light bulb Dendera. They sacrifice the temple's defenses to channel all of its energy into a beam, the great light of Amun-Ra, Maryamun, to assault the barrier. After an ineffective first strike, Ozymandias resorts to using his own spirit to charge the blast. In a second attempt, they succeed in dispersing the barrier. As predicted, the Lion King rains down the light of judgment upon the temple. But Nitocris is prepared to defend it with the Mirror of the Underworld. In the same way as her king, her spirit also begins to fall apart, with the mirror, the darkness which dispels light, cracking from the impact. Nitocris' defense gives Ozymandias the chance to use the full might of Ramesium Tentiris to tear down the Lion King's tower. Hoping to save her king, Nitocris prepares herself to become a sacrifice to the underworld in exchange for power. But at the last moment, she is stopped by Ozymandias. Comforted by him, he claims she is far too kind to rule the underworld, and that rather than burning themselves out, they should instead fade as heroic spirits should. Thus, the two pharaohs disperse from the singularity, their efforts proving to be a critical strike in allowing Ritska to reach the Lion King and ultimately settle the distortion. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe to OtakuDaiKun for more anime lists, reviews, discussions, lore videos, live streams, and the Holy Waifu Wars. If you're interested in seeing this channel grow, please consider becoming a patron or donating in a super chat during any of my weekly live streams. Also, feel free to check the description for my social media profiles, including an ever-growing Discord full of fans of anime and the Fate series. Until next time, celebrate your fandom.